Tony's in Franklin on the Fort Hood shooting. Welcome to WTN.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. This is my question about Major Nagdal. Now, I understand that he was like a psychiatrist or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he was in charge of dealing with troops that returned from war in
post-traumatic
stress syndrome and just processing the experiences of war.
Well, right. Besides the fact that he went around shooting these soldiers at Fort Hood, wonder what kind of head games that he was playing with those soldiers that were having problems to begin with.
Well, there's no telling. We know the struggles he had, and this is what led to the PowerPoint presentations. His struggle was specifically with Muslim soldiers, and this is the part that political correctness doesn't allow many people to examine and talk about it. Nidal Hasan was not crazy. So you don't have the analogy of, oh, we had a crazy guy counseling our troops. No, you had a jihadist counseling our troops. And what finally, according to those that have studied him, have concluded is his biggest problem was, being a Muslim, he understood that a Muslim cannot keep their constitutional or military oath because they are prohibited to wage war against their brother on homeland. That was his rub. That was his dilemma. And no one wanted to deal with the truths of Muhammad or the Holy Quran or Islam in this issue. But that was the rub. That Muslim men would come to him and say, how can I be deployed? How can I go to war? How can I shoot my Muslim brother? Now, I'm not taking a slap at Muslims. Let's put ourselves in the Muslim shoe. They're having to sacrifice their eternity to carry out their earthly national duty. And it's an impossible choice. And in the end, turned out to be an impossible choice for Nidal Hasan. In which case, was Soldier of Allah on his business card, with his failed attempts to do power presentations on jihad and suicide bombing, he eventually gets on a table, yells Allah Akbar, and kills innocent fellow soldiers. He chose Muhammad. He chose the teachings of the Quran. He chose his Muslim faith over his military oath. And this is why in 2010 it's very politically incorrect to say, but I have an issue with a Muslim's ability to take a constitutional oath and keep it. Everybody thought it was some small thing when we had a member of Congress put his hand on a Quran and take an oath. Because there's no consistency. There's no compatibility at all. In fact, our Constitution is the antithesis of the Quran teachings and the example of Muhammad. What am I saying? All right, I'll spit it out because I don't give a crap what anybody thinks. I have a problem with anybody Muslim being in the military. And if you ask me why I would make such an outrageous statement, I will point directly to Nidal Hasan and everyone that was Muslim that he counseled. I'm not saying they don't have a right to their religion. I'm just saying their religion makes it impossible for them to carry out their oath.
It precludes everything else. And it's not just you. We had an ex-Shiite Muslim talk about that very issue, about how not only is it impossible for you to be able to serve effectively in the military, but it's nigh unto impossible for you to be able to be an effective American citizen under American law. The two do not get along.
That was the rub for Hassan. That's what led to the shooting. And that was what the rub was for him counseling every Muslim in our military. Because they know what they're dealing with. That would be, well, it was Muhammad Ali's rub as a pacifist. I would be willing to give up my eternity. I got news for you, gang. I'm God, family, country. Or God, country, family, depending on the issue. But never does my family and never does my country come before my God. I mean, I'm not making excuses for Nidal Hasan. The lesson for America and the military is, how did a marginal, subpar student, marginal, subpar soldier elevate to major? How could we ignore the PowerPoint presentations? How could we ignore Soldier of Allah on his business card? How could we ignore his many attempts to reach supervisors with his personal and or job dilemma? In fact, the reality is they moved him to Fort Hood because he was subpar and because they had more personnel to overcome his subpar status and performance. Gang, political correctness. Not even his radical Muslim faith, not even fundamental Muslim faith led to that shooting. Now, on the case of Nidal Hassan, the president said, we cannot jump to conclusions. He never acknowledged the role of Islam. He never acknowledged political correctness. And he never did come back and give us that report. In fact, he obstructed Congress in releasing the information. At least with the panty bomber, he's speaking public, and we presume we're going to see this report that's supposedly going to shock us. I don't know how anything could be more shocking than Nidal Hassan, but all right, I'm ready. At least we'll have something to talk about on Friday.